Welcome to the next episode of Picture Perspective. Today, we're here to give you our perspective on succession planning, whether it be changing the leadership, exiting a business, removing the kids, or passing to the next generation. We're here to give you our perspective. We're lucky enough to have one of my colleagues, Raelene Berryman, with us today. Raelene focuses on the middle market and advising families on succession and related issues. Thanks for coming along, Ray. Before we begin, this is general advice in nature. Should you wish to take your personal circumstances into consideration, please reach out for advice. Let's go. So Ray, one of my favourite TV shows has been Succession. Is it the reason why so many people have been nervous about starting a succession plan? The dysfunctionality, everything that we've seen on the TV show?
Yes, Jordan, it could be one of the factors, but really succession is a big issue. You need to chunk it down into leadership succession and ownership succession. And once you've got those two separated, it's easier to move forward.
Cool. And is it one of those things that we can do it in an hour, or does it take us weeks, months, years to put together the perfect succession plan?
It's really interesting because that depends on who is in the box seat at the time. Once the person at the box seat has a realisation that it's time to move on, whether it be ownership or leadership, they then have to work through the emotions of it all and identify someone to come and take over.
Is succession planning just for small businesses, big businesses, in between? Is there a perfect size business that should do a succession plan, or is it for everybody?
Look, I think every business needs a succession plan. It doesn't matter whether you're planning on doing a trade sale or passing it on to the next generation. You need to really look at the business, identify what it needs, the timeline you're looking at, and how you're going to get there.
What's the key piece of value when you're putting together a succession plan?
Look, I'll focus on the leadership side of things. From a leadership perspective, it's all about how you're going to grow more value in the business. That might be bringing in some new blood, getting some new ideas, looking at new markets, or even harnessing the skills of the people you haven't actually harnessed before.
And do you go through, certain phases we bring different people from within the business into the conversation, or is it everybody in from the initial outset? Where do we start?
You need to get buy-in of all the key stakeholders. So initially it's the owners and then usually the family members that are involved, whether it be in the business or external to the business, but still part of the family. Thirdly, you look at the key people in the business that are going to be impacted. Then it's a matter of communication, being transparent and having a clear path for going forward.
Ray, what are the key steps in developing a great succession plan?
I think the first thing you need to do is actually be realistic around what you're looking for. So if it's an ownership succession plan, are you looking to sell the business for a certain value? How close are you to that value? And is there a buyer out there in the market if that's the trade sale route you're going down? Secondly, from a leadership perspective, when are you willing to retire or so a step back at least?
Yeah, or fill my week up with something else?
Yeah, definitely. So if you're in a leadership role, you need to have something to go to. One of the worst things that can go wrong is that a leader exits a business on Friday. Monday, they turn around, they're back there at 9 a.m.
Yep.
You've got to have something to go forward to. A lot of people play golf. Hopefully they're good at it. A lot of people also become the grandparents. We're hearing now of how grandparents are raising the kids. That's ideal for succession planning because it gives them something to do. So a hobby is really important.
And do you revisit the succession plan progressively through the journey, or is it something that you put on the shelf and sort of forget about once you've done it once?
Yeah, I guess a set and forget plan is not going to work. What you need to do is keep revisiting that. And usually that's through business planning from an ownership point of view. Are they meeting the goals that you want to get, such as dividend payments? And from a leadership perspective, it should be just ongoing business planning as per normal. And
setting those little milestones or those little victories so you can show success. Let's move on to the next key piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, the communication piece is really important. If you've got external managers in the business leading it, they need to be able to communicate with the business owners, who are usually the family members, making sure that the two are aligned and hitting the same key milestones as you move forward.
Obviously, you've seen a lot of businesses and advised a lot of businesses on their succession strategy. Are there any businesses that you can call upon to give advice to those that are starting the journey?
Definitely. There's a lot of people who've been through it before that are really willing to throw their experiences out there and mentor the people coming through it. I've recently done that with a couple of my clients that are looking at succession planning. Everyone can learn something. So putting people together to just have a conversation is really important.
And also make comfortable in the journey that they're about to embark on, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty daunting. The business that you've cherished, that you've grown up to love and hate, you're looking to move away from, can be really daunting for some people, right?
Yeah, totally. And I think the main thing is there's a little bit of comfort if someone else has done it before you. You're not the first person to walk on the moon, for example. So now that someone has done it before you, you can see that there is a path forward. And it's still daunting and particularly emotive for a lot of people, but at least there's someone there that they can say, hey, they've done it, I can do it as well.
If you could pick one item in a succession plan that you should focus the most time on, what would that be?
Definitely the people. So the people in the business, in the ownership group, and the people who are next in line. So you need to have the communication out there, transparent, as I've probably said before, but it's so important to manage the people within the business, their emotives, their expectations. Once you've got a handle on that, you can go forward.
Obviously, a great succession plan is all the things that pop out at the end. So whether it's the team, the documentation, talk us through all the attributes that make a great succession plan.
Yeah, sure. I think there's a lot of documentation, which means you do need a really strong team around you. Number one is having a lawyer, and particularly an estate lawyer, to make sure the wills all stack up with yourself now and going forward. An accountant, a HR person is usually very useful.
Yeah, especially talking to people, right?
100%. And then you might have a financial advisor and or a wealth advisor just like yourself.
Yeah, I know. Ray and I have done a number of things together where, it's daunting to be selling a business, and knowing that safety net that you've had for a number of years to provide for your family is going away, and it's going in the cash tin. So working through scenarios, modelling out what the future could look like and the generation of income post-business is really important to give that confidence that we're right to move.
100%, because without all of those people around you, you cannot move forward with the plan.
So Ray, back to the TV show, because I'm pretty passionate about it. We saw a lot of dysfunctionality, fights, tantrums, disputes. I'm sure you've got a colourful catalogue of these stories that you can tell from experiences. What have you learnt from that? And have you got any other colourful things that you can tell us?
Look, it is really interesting getting to know these families in particular. You hear all sorts of things. There are adopted kids in there. There are people that have got gambling addictions, alcohol addictions, drug addictions, disabled people, mental health issues. So you've got to really look at everything. I think that you've just got to have an open mind and create an environment where people can be very honest with each other. If you can't get to that, then you'll end up with people being excluded from the process. But a lot of the solutions in this is making sure the documentation is such that you're being very equal, which is quite important for a lot of families.
Fair, yeah.
Making sure someone that's in the business is getting an asset that's worth the same as someone outside of the business, for example. And also making sure that if you're worried about children marrying people that you might not necessarily like, adopted kids, stepkids, you can have trust deeds, for example, that allocate income just down bloodlines. So you can protect yourself by using some documents in place and leaving a legacy that your family understand.
You've obviously got a lot of experience in this area, right? I'm going to reach out to the producers of Succession and let them know that we're on for another season. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been awesome. I really appreciate your time.
No problem at all. Enjoyed it immensely.